So as requested by Nitin, what I'm going to do is, since he's having little difficulty in terms of his internet connection, I will be putting up his presentation on screen, sharing with all of you, and waiting for his instruction to navigate through the rest of the slideshow. Nitin, I'm starting the slideshow right now, so please
Okay.
help me out and do let me know when to move on to the next slide.
Okay. Thank you, Shilagna. Thanks for your help. And sorry to all the participants, I could not see you. And it is because I think Murphy, my friend, has entered in my company today, looks like, and is not allowing me to see you guys. So without further ado, I'm on slide number 2 right now. Which talks about the agenda. So this presentation is basically divided into two sections. First section, we will look at what are the challenges involved in the testing community, and second part tries to explain how these problems can be solved with the help of IBM Rational Functional Tester. And since I assume that most of us probably are going to be aware of the manual testing aspects and the challenges, so I'm not going to spend much time on it, but the idea here is to get more focus into the rational functional tester and its capabilities, and also to see it live in action, though it looks like that might be an issue, but let's see. I'll try my best to show you my screen for the demo. So I'm moving on to the slide number 3 now. So why automated testing, right? So functional testing basically started with the proposal that we treat a program as a function, and when we treat program as a function, there will be like to test it, we need to feed inputs to it and check it for its output value, right? That's what a function does. It takes an input and returns an output. So if you take a look at today's business scenario, the business environment is putting more and more pressure on the testing organizations, and testing organizations need to reduce the cost, right? And not just cost, they need to also maintain the same quality, because customers are not going to accept a low quality product. At the same time, they need to reduce the cost by delivering more and more product in a very short span of time, right? So let's try and see this situation with a graph in front of you, which basically depicts the relationship between the number of tests and the time it takes to run those tests, right? And in a manual environment, if you run all your tests in a build, right? For example, in case here you see build 1, right? It takes a certain amount of time to run those tests. And when a second build appears, then you need to rerun the first test, right? So can you put a click here, so it will bring the next screenshot. So please click on this slide.
I'm on the rational functional tester, the basics page. Is that the right page? Is that the right slide?
No, why automated testing? Challenges of manual testing in short cycle.
Hold on. Okay then. Yeah, why automated testing? I'm on that slide.
It should show the full screen now.
Yeah, full screen it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me know when you want me to move on to the next slide.
Now, no, not wrong. I just wanted to click on it so that it brings up the full picture. So if you take a look at this picture, you can see the situation, how the situation is moving from left to right, as in when the build new build is coming. So the new test which we have added will require new functionality, right, which need to be tested as part of the build 2 itself. So apart from rerunning the same test which you run in the build 1, you need to now run the new test. So which will definitely add a require more time. And more, right, as and when the build 3, 4 and 5 comes, you can see the continuation of the proper process where exactly it is taking us, right? So it proves that manual testing definitely can't keep pace within an iterative environment. And where does the difficulty lies in this, right? The difficulty basically lies in the amount of time each test cycle takes versus the speed at which the development delivers the new builds, right? In this example, as I explained, the QA group basically starts a test cycle on build 3, but before they are finishing with the build 3 cycle, like build 4, 5 are already there, right? So those builds are getting wasted. Nobody is using them, nobody is testing them, right? And the problem here is that one thing we can say because of the iterative cycle, but we all know, right, iterative cycle is the future, so that definitely we cannot ignore. So what is the solution basically? The solution is how we can automate. Is it possible to reduce the human labor in order to test the particular build? So that now let's look at how the automation tools helps us. So moving on to the slide number 4. So rational functional tester is an automated functional and regression testing tool for teams which are accountable for the long-term quality of their applications, right? And it is also the next generation tool for the rational robot. It ensures that when you use this tool for testing your application, it tests for whether the application works, right? It addresses basically the challenges of the functional testing that we discussed in the previous slides. So for example, it minimizes the test maintenance by creating the scripts which are resilient to the application changes. For example, it uses the object-oriented technology to identify the objects and not by recognizing the objects using the screen coordinates, right? So even if the location of your of a GUI object or text of an object changes, RFT can still find it at the time of playback. Then it goes beyond the record and playback of the user interaction. It's not just about record and playback, but it allows a lot of wizards to help even less technical users to build verifications and data-driven tests. So you don't need, it is not just a tool for people who understand the language and have good technical skills, but even the less technical users can also use this tool to create complex tests by adding verifications and data-driven commands. And at the same time, it provides the developers and more advanced testers the ability to work with the script code directly using the choice of the Java and VB.NET language based on their preference. So if you like Java language, you have an option to choose Java scripting. If you are comfortable in VB.NET technology, then you can choose to use VB.NET scripting as an option for developing your test cases. Let's move on to the next slide, which is slide number 5. So this slide basically display the core capabilities of RFT, right? It defines the 3-step process which is generally used for creating the automated test. So the top, you have the basic steps for creating of the automated test. The first step is record, in which we capture the user actions. Second step is enhance, though it is not a mandatory step, but majority of time it is used or practiced by the testers to make the test more robust and resilient and easy to maintain. And the last step is about execute, wherein the tool simulates the user actions as it was performed during the time of recording in the execution environment. The report results, though we do not count it inside this three-step process, but we definitely cannot ignore it, because without reporting results, without telling whether the test has been passed or failed, just by executing the test in the same manner doesn't help. You need to have proper data in the reports so that you can confirm the quality of the application which you are delivering to your customers. Right? Now, supporting the scripts, RFT allows customers to decouple the scripts from the script itself, and that happens with the help of the data pools, right? Which you, as you can see just below the script creation line. So the data pool allows customers to store the data used in the scripts, and it keeps the data separate from the your automated scripts, right? So what are the benefits that you get out of it? This basically allows data to be reused by the same script to test different conditions. For example, you probably can use the same employee data for creation of the employment record. At the same time, you can use the same employee data if you want to modify or you want to delete an employee, right? Now, moving below that, you will see that reusable test scripts can be created in the rational functional tester. So by reusable test scripts are nothing but, in some cases it is also known as keywords, and keywords can be seen by all testers and can be used to build new scripts. So it basically offers another way to increase the productivity. So you can develop your tests in a much faster pace compared to if you create a end-to-end scenario kind of thing for every scenario. For example, let's say create an employee or maybe placing an order on Flipkart, right? So login could be one activity which you need to do. Similarly, if you are canceling it or if you are modifying something, again a login is the same activity, right? So you can create login as a keyword which can be reused among all the test cases. So your effort is reduced now. Not all testers need to automate the login scenario. At the same time, if your application is changed, if your login is changed, right? So you need to modify only the keyword, and the changes will automatically propagate down to all the scripts that utilize that keyword. Right? So it becomes very easy to maintain these scripts also. And at the bottom line shows the technology supported by RFT. It is not the concrete or complete list of what all we support. There are a lot of other things like PDF, Flex, etc., which are not mentioned. But at a broad category level, it is being covered as part of web applications. You have Java applications, which includes your all Eclipse, SWT, Swing, etc. Packaged applications like SAP, Siebel, terminal-based applications, green screens applications. So those are covered as part of terminal-based applications. Then coming to .NET World, you have all .NET 1.1, 2.0, WPF, Silverlight is supported. Yeah, I think pretty much I've covered. PDF is another area which is supported. It supports Windows, which is not mentioned here. So you can see in the important link section, there are a lot of links available wherein you can see the complete list of technologies supported by the RFT. So let's move on to slide number 6. Okay, I'm actually parallelly trying to see if my network is also up or running. Okay, so let's now drill down to the each stages, because today we are talking about automating manual tests using RFT, right? So first step, as we discussed, is recording an automated script. So recording is basically you start a recorder and you start performing actions with your application. So all the actions which a user is performing during the recording time is monitored by the RFT recorder, and it tries to make sense out of it in the terms that what is the real intent of the user when it is performing an action on a or interacting with a GUI object on the application. For example, when you are performing a click on a button, so what is your intent basically? So if you are selecting a combo box, it's not just about clicking in a GUI object, but basically you are trying to make a selection, right? So it really tries to capture the intent out of it and convert them into some meaningful methods, right? And once the recorder is stopped by the tester, the recording session, it will automatically convert all these actions into a meaningful script, which can later be enhanced with the by adding more robust logic if you want. At the same time, there are a couple of other tools which are available during the recording time itself, though it can be also done at the enhanced stage. That is that you can add verification points. You find a label or something which you want to validate at the time of playback. For example, a message got conveyed by the application, and you want to really validate whether the message is coming correctly or not when I'm entering this kind of input. So those messages can be validated with the help of verification points, and during the recording time itself, user can insert verification points with the help of the wizards. Similarly, you can also do data-driven testing. So we will go in details about data-driven testing, but just to introduce it. So when we do a test, right, we don't want to do a test for a single input value. We want to reuse the same test or same function for multiple types of data, right? So that helps in testing different types of scenarios. And during recording time itself, you have a data-driven wizard which is available, which can be used to data driver test in a very easily wizard form. Moving on to the next slide. So before really going into the data-driven testing, let's look at some problems that we face during testing, right? So that will help us to understand this data-driven testing better. So let's assume that I want to record a test which basically creates a personal file for a new employee, right? And I create a new employee by providing, let's say, PAN card, or maybe, yeah, I think PAN card is fine, right? So I started my recorder, I interacted with the application to enter the PAN card and all other employee details, and then I closed my recording session. So recorder has given me a script. Now when I'm going to rerun the same script again, it's again going to enter the same PAN card, right? And my application is not going to accept it because PAN card is a unique thing. You cannot create an employee with two employees with the same PAN card, right? So that's the problem. Similarly, at the time of deletion, if you are deleting, you have recorded something, now if you want to play back, you cannot delete an already existing record. So the idea here is that you created a test for a particular employee, but you want to run it for different employees, right? So how can you do this? It can be done using the help of data-driven testing. So data-driven testing basically is a means of varying input data during a test run without changing the code manually, right? And it puts a abstraction layer between the data and the test script, and eliminating the literal values which we put in the script, right? And now because your data is separated from the test script, we can get a lot of benefits out of it. The first benefit which I see from this is that you can modify the test data without affecting the test script. So test script is created. I just need to add new records without even impacting my test script. So my test script might be maintained in some change control or some source control management, but I do not have to create change sets again and again in order to change. I can simply keep it outside. Similarly, I can add new test cases. For example, I can have different employee types, right? I could have different scenarios based on that. I can generate different scenarios. So by adding new test cases, I can create new, by adding new data, I can create new test cases without modifying the test script. Similarly, I can share my test data, right, with many scripts. So as I said, you have two test cases. One is creation of an employee and other is deletion of the employee. You can have one input data and you can feed this data to both the test cases, right? So that's another test cases. And what data-driven testing does is basically, it is done with the help of data pool. As you can see on the screen also, where these are generally the objects which are generally modified or which user provides input to the application.
Nitin, I'm sorry to interrupt. I hope I'm on the right slide. Slide number 7, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every time while you are asking me to move on, if you could also tell me the headline of the slide, that would be better. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take care of that. Thank you. Okay. So as you can see, I mentioned that during recording time also, you can RFT allows the less technical savvy tester to add this complex data-driven testing commands, right? So it's just once you take your launch the wizard and take it onto the GUI object, it brings up this data-driven wizard, which you can see on the screen, which actually shows what all objects you can data drive. So as I said, this is nothing but the objects which you can input, right? So it could be your text boxes, combo boxes. These are selected by RFT, but it's up to you that power is given to the end user that he wants to do all the objects. You want to data drive all the objects, or you want to data drive only specific objects. So in a single click, you can do all that stuff. Right? So what is the advantage which you're getting here? That you can save a lot of time, as you do not have to do manual enhancement on the scripts or manual coding in order to integrate your test data with the test script, right? Okay, so moving on to the slide number 8 now, which talks about recording scripts, verification points. So we talked about verification point, right? So verification point is the term used in RFT to define a point where user want to validate some state of the system, right? Or some form of the system. For example,
Nitin, I'm again sorry to cut you in between. When you are saying slide number 8 and what you're saying, recording scripts verification point.
Yes.
Slide number 8 is recording scripts data driven testing, which you were talking about all this while. So slide number 9 is recording scripts verification points.
Okay.
That's how the serial number is in order on the PowerPoint.
Okay, so anyways, I'm on the recording script, so I will go with the heading. I'm on the recording scripts verification point slide. So are you on the same slide now?
Yes, I am, but it seems that all this while I was on the wrong slide because I was going by
No, I think
the serial number. So when
okay.
you were saying slide number 7, it was actually slide number 8.
When we are talking about the data-driven testing, right?
Correct. I was in the previous slide.
Okay. Okay. My apologies for that. I don't know, means on my side, I'm seeing slide number 8. So anyway, so let's continue. And since we are on the same file, I'll use the headings also just so that we are in sync. I know this is all trouble because two different people are trying to conduct this session. Okay, so okay, so verification point, as I explained, is a point wherein user want to validate the state of the system, right? And the most common verification points that are available in rational functional tester is object properties verification point and the data verification points. There are other verification points also, but these are the most commonly used verification points. And these VPs basically are used to capture object state and data during a test. We'll try and see this in demo if it is possible on how exactly the verification points are taken. But this screen also shows you, like as you can see, how functional tester sees data, right? So functional tester basically gives an end user more power in terms of testing compared to the manual tester, because manual tester only can see through its naked eye some of the things, right? It can only see the visible thing, but there are times when the application requires some bit of properties to be verified. Just to give you an example from the screen itself. So let's say if a website requires cookie property to be enabled in the browser, right? So it expects that cookie of the browser should be enabled. So this definitely cannot be tested by a manual tester. And if a website is not working, you probably will spend a lot of time in debugging the issue, that why exactly the website is not working, right? But what RFT offers is that you can even put verification point on the internal or non-visible properties of the browser or the web application. So you can put a check on the .cookie property before even running the test. So you can say, this is my precondition, and if this verification point fails, then I need to either fail the test, or I probably can switch into the cookie different website which can work in the cookie. So you can write all sorts of logic, or you can simply put this information in the log, right, that this state should be available, right? And once the verification point has been captured, this information is stored in the baseline file, and this baseline file is used at the playback time to compare it with the actual data at the playback, right? And if there are any differences found between the data captured during the recording time and the actual data which we got at the execution time, they are flagged and noted in the test log, right? So moving on to the next slide, which is validating the dynamic data. Okay, so dynamic data validation basically is another very common problem which we see in especially in the web world. Java also uses it. So this tool of validating the dynamic data is again a verification point tool, but it adds it with the pattern matching mechanism, pattern matching technique. Sorry, and this can also be used either at the time of recording or following the recording, that is during the enhance phase. So in many applications, you will find that there will be dynamic data that changes with every run of the application. In this case, what we are seeing on the screen of the classic cd.com, right? You can see that every time user is placing an order, a new order number is generated. Like here, you can see first 231 is generated, then 232, and henceforth, right? If someone has to verify the data, right? If I'm going to put it on 231, definitely next time it is going to fail, because next time the order number will be something else. So how does basically one validate the data, the changing data in the application? So RFT uses the pattern matching technology, right? So it doesn't use the static baseline but it puts some regular expressions, right? So in our case here, we can add a regular expression which can match only the 3 digits, right? Instead of matching for an exact number, that is 231, and we can say that as long as there are 3 digits here, I am fine. Or maybe this is just a very actually simple regular expression. You can build complex regular expressions also, because this uses the standard industry regular expression notation. So you can create any kind of imaginable pattern to validate any imaginable type of dynamic data. Okay. So let's move on to the next slide, which is effective test automation and enhancing scripts. Okay, so we are done with the first step, that is the recording. So we saw that during recording you use a recorder, and there are a couple of tools which are available with the testers, that is to add verification points and to add the data verification point, data driven testing, and at the same time you can use regular expressions for validating the dynamic data. Now coming to the enhancement phase. So as I said, this is not a mandatory stage, but most commonly it is used to strengthen or to ensure that shelf life of a given script is increased, right? So what do we need to do in order to do enhancement of the script? So you need a strong, powerful scripting language, right, that can support the kind of logic which you want to add. For example, you might want to add conditional branching, that if the input given by the customer is this, then go to temporary employee logic or temporary employee scenario, otherwise run the permanent employee scenario, something like that. So these kind of, so what it requires that the language which you are creating the test should offer you these conditional branching and writing these if else conditions kind of thing. So which is very much available in RFT because it offers scripting in VB.NET and Java language, which are very strong languages. At the same time, when you are building your tests, right, oftentimes you see that the test is broken and you need to debug that, right? The log will give you enough only information that why it broke, but there could be cases wherein you have written a framework and maybe due to time-related changes, or you interpret the situation wrongly, or you did not handle a particular situation. So you need to debug that thing. So which is very much available with the help of Eclipse debugging support, which you get along with RFT, as well as the Microsoft Visual Studio.NET debugging things you can be used here. And typical modifications definitely you can do, as I mentioned, you can do conditional branching, etc. At the same time, another important piece which you get here is that you can use SCM tools like Rational Team Concert or ClearCase for versioning your tests, right? you want to ensure that there is a controlled check-in happen and monitoring of each change happens, that why a particular change was done in my test. So that can also be done because uh, RFT automatically integrates with the RTC and with the Eclipse and VS.NET, right? And you can also do dynamic data validation. So we only talked about verifying data through wizards, right? That has its own support. But if you want to build your own custom validation types, which are not exposed via the wizards, then there are APIs available for more advanced users, tech-savvy users, if they want to add that logic with the help of scripting. So that thing is also possible. I'm moving on to the next slide. Okay, so enhancement was all about strengthening the script logic so that it can run for a longer duration and to make it less maintenance free, right? Now the next step is executing. Now we have put all my effort to automate the manual test. Now the next step is I want to play back the test on every build which I received from the development, right? And so what exactly we do as part of this is that you have the tests which are automated and you can choose to run it via command line. You may choose to run it with the help of a test management tool. You probably must be having a test management tool like Rational Quality Manager. So you may want to run it the RFT tests which you have created on remote machines or multiple machines, right, through with the help of Rational Quality Manager. Or you can do it manually also, right, by just through the Rational Functional Tester ID itself if you want to do it on a local machine. So scripts are executed. It expects that the behavior is same as it was in during the time of recording. If there are any differences found at the time of playback, then those differences are captured in the test log and which are created or which are rather shown right after the execution of the test is done. There are a couple of important things which I would want to highlight here, which is a little different and very specific to RFT, is that it has its own patentable technology named Script Assure, which actually allows you to run the tests even if there are minor changes between the versions. So the scripts are, so which eases the job of script maintenance, right? And the other thing is the reporting. So you have a lot of choices in reporting here. You can create, you have by default, there are multiple types of report like HTML, XML. You can export it in a PDF format. But at the same time, what RFT offers is that you can customize your extensions. You can write your own custom log, right? And RFT will consume your custom implementation and will generate the reports as per your requirement. So I'm moving on to the next slide, which talks about reduced test script maintenance, reliable playback with Script Assure. So as I said, Script Assure is the technology, it is a patentable technology and that makes the test scripts immune to object name changes between the different versions. So as you can see on the screen, there is version 1 and version 2. So these are actually the UI of the application in different builds, right? So I would want to, can you click on these things so that you bring up all the things, because I think you need to click twice and it will show the match verification point success.
Yes. So
Okay.
tester sees and tool sees. Those are the two
Yes. You will
Okay.
click one more time, then it will say match verification point passes.
Correct.
Okay, great. So what the scripting tool sees is the underlying attributes which allow the tool to uniquely identify the objects being tested here, right? The problem is when the attributes are changed build to build, as this application also, you can see the initially, if you see on the first version, the button name was login and layout was something in the, account ID and password. Fields were coming in the same line. But in the version 2, the layout is changed. The button also has changed, right? So the test scripts basically can no longer uniquely identify the object to be tested, because earlier we were expecting the button to be login, but now button name has to be log on. And as I said, most automation tools actually depend on these properties to identify these objects, right? But but still script means RFT is able to pass this test, and the reason for that is because it uses a weighing mechanism. So every property is given a weightage depending on how critical or how useful that property is to identify the GUI object inside the AUT, right? So what happens? What are the benefits that we get out of it? That this basically decreases the script failures by making the script resilient to change. So even if there are some changes, it still can continue. You do not have to go back and modify your tests again and again, because that's how weights have been designed. And weightage calculation happens internally, and you can see this information in the object map editor also, that how the weightages have been defined. If the weight is 100 and the value is matched completely, then it will pass. If the minimum the weight, that means the property is not that critical for identifying the object. And the text field, for example, are generally the lower weightage values because text can change, right? So this is how script assure technology helps you to even pass or click on the button in the version 2, log on button in the version 2. Whereas if script assure would not have been there, like if you would have created your own descriptive mechanisms to find the object, then the same thing would have been failed. Okay. Now, moving on to the next slide, which talks about reporting that fits your organization needs. So this is again part of the executing script. So though it is the reports, but again, reports and execution are like very much related because reports are nothing but the outcome of the execution. So results can be viewed in multiple formats, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, that it can be viewed in an XML format, HTML format. These are like, there's a web 2.0 log is also available. When you run the test from the test management tools like our Rational Quality Manager, so tests are automatically uploaded to the Rational Quality Manager and is associated with the test case, right? So you can see your test case, results, defects, requirements all in the same, all at the same place inside the Rational Quality Manager, which helps in easy tracking of your development as well as the quality of the test. And you can export your tests in the PDF 7 and 8 documents. That also, and at the same time, I also mentioned that you can have your own custom logs. So there is a custom log extensions available in the RFT, which will allow you to create your own format. For example, you might want to create a report, and this request I have seen many times actually coming from a lot of RFT customers, that is it possible to create some kind of summary report for all the suite that I run. Yes, it is very much possible with the help of the log extensions. So with this, now next item I had was to give the demo. And so looks like that thing is not working for me. Still down. Okay, so there are certain important links. So I am on slide number 15, which I'm skipping the demo slide for time being, since there are some network difficulties at my end, which is not allowing me to, letting me to share my screen. My apologies for that. So I'm directly going to important links, and one of the links also talks about, so in fact the first link itself, which has the rational functional tester videos. There are a bunch of videos which shows the rational functional tester capabilities. Some of them which I plan to demo today, you can find the same video, similar videos available in the rational functional tester videos link. Testing with rational functional tester, it is basically this page actually is a help link of rational functional tester, which tells you what all things, like how do you prepare your test environment, then how do you create a automated test. It's a step-by-step, basically it tells you. Then there is an introduction to rational functional tester. It's a nice small movie which gives you a tour of rational functional tester and all of its capabilities that we discussed today, like verification points, data-driven testing. System requirements. Rational functional tester actually talks about what are the system needed for installation of RFT on your machine. Then what are the domains, platforms supported by RFT, like we talked about. We mentioned some of them in our previous slide, that it supports testing of Java technologies, .NET technologies, but there are lot many which are not mentioned, like Flex was not mentioned, Dojo was not mentioned, etc. So those details can be seen in the system requirements for rational functional tester. Next is record manual test script. Actually, I had a plan to talk about manual test script recorder. This is actually a new capability which was added in RFT 8.2.2 and RQM 4.0. RQM is our test management solution, which helps you to do all test management activities like creation of test cases, test plans, execution of tests, creation of suites, etc. So this manual test script recorder is rational quality manager's capability, and wherein it allows you to automate even the manual test case creation itself. Like today, if you are using any test management tool, or if you are familiar with rational quality manager, when you create a test case, it's all manual, right? You need to write your own stuff, like log into gmail.com and then check emails, delete emails, blah, 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 right? So these are all you need to do manually. But what if you get an option to even automatically create these manual tests? So that's what this manual test script recorder functionality provides us. So it's basically an RQM feature, but internally it uses the rational functional tester recorder engine to generate the manual test commands. The last link is about the functional and GUI testing forum. So this is the forum which you can refer if you have any doubts around the usage of the product, or if you have any difficulty. There are a lot of, this is a very active forum which, and you probably will meet a lot of experts here. Even RFT team also looks into this forum and keeps answering your queries. So, so Sri Lagna, looks like internet is not recovered at my end. And, Is there
Okay.
any way I can post video, which means I can create a video of the demo which I wanted to show today, and is there any possibility for me to upload that video on the Techgig?
You can share the video with us, Nitin, and we will try if we can include the video along with your presentation. Any which ways, we will
Oh,
upload today's session by tomorrow afternoon on techgig.com so that all the attendees can, because I can understand that there was a lot of confusion at the beginning today, and due apologies for that. So we will be putting up today's session, the entire recorded session, by tomorrow. So if you could share your video by then, we will try and see if we can include that as well. But
yeah,
as
I'll
as
create the
of
video.
as, as of now, let us open. We are already running out of time since we started the session late. Let's open up the session for a quick Q&A. Let me see if I have any questions. So since you cannot view my screen, I'm going to
Yeah.
say out loud the question, and then you can help the attendees with the answer. So let me see if I have received any question so far. And this is a request to all the attendees to quickly start sharing your questions for this session. Okay, a lot of questions are pouring in. I'm going to start reading out some of the questions. I'll try my best not to confuse anyone here. Um, okay. Okay, we received a question from Vishnu Panda, who has left the session, but probably the answer might be valuable for the other attendees. So his question was, for large amount of data, is data pool feasible?
Yes. So data pool is nothing but a tabular kind of uh, it's a tabular structure similar to what you have, what you see in Excel, right? So it is very much possible that you can store lots of records in the data pool to run those tests.
Okay, next question is from Ganesh Rajan. He is asking, can I get the demo SF of RFT? If so, where should I download it from?
Yeah. So actually, there are in my slide there are a link to the rational functional tester videos, and there are certain other links which I went through. So some of these links actually have very nice videos about how to get started with rational functional tester.
Okay, moving on to another question. This is from Sachin, and he is asking, when can we start automation testing?
Yeah, that's a very good question actually, because this is a always we are in a dilemma that when is the right time to automation, because we saw that cycle right in the beginning during the manual testing time. Definitely build one is not a time when you start automation. Generally tendency is that when your product is mature enough that there are not much changes happening in the GUI side, that is where you start automation. But it also depends on what approach you are taking for automation, because like for example I worked on one project wherein we focused more at the high level, wherein we created our business objects layer and we kept our business objects layer independent of the tool, because tool is mainly allowing you to interact with the GUI aspects of the application. But there is a bunch of things which you can do even when your application is not ready. Just to give you an example, login keyword like I talked about, right? So login is one important business object. So once you are defining a test case, let's say create an employee, you can keep create an employee object, login object ready, and once your GUI object is, once your application is more stable, then you can focus on the low level layers, that is the application objects layer. There is a very good article on developer works which talks about IBM framework. I would recommend you to take a look at it, which divides the automation framework strategy into 3 layers: app objects, business objects, and your test case layer. So I'm sure that will help you in understanding when is the right time to start with the automation.
Thank you, Nitin. Moving on. Next question is from Helen. The question is, how is RFT different from other functional testers?
From other functional testing tools.
Yes, from other
Right.
functional testers.
Okay, so actually, rational functional tester, as I mentioned, there are it has its own capabilities, it has its own advantages in terms of, like I said, script assured technology is one which allows you to create means low maintenance thing. The biggest advantage which I see from other tools, though I cannot name the other tools available in the market, but if I talk about the wide range of support, right? Today, every application probably runs on multiple channels. You have an application which is on web, also working on desktop. You also have it in maybe some other technologies, right? So what RFT offers is a single tool which can be used for all the technologies. So I think the biggest advantage with RFT is the width of support. It supports web technologies, desktop technologies, .NET, Windows, even the green applications, and on multiple platforms. It is available on both Windows as well as on the Linux side.
All right, moving on. Our next question from Manish. He's asking, can we use RFT for mobile application testing, native as well as mobile web application?
Manish, that capability is not there in the RFT, but Rational Functional Tester is part of the Rational Test Workbench offering, and Rational Test Workbench has Rational Test Workbench 8.5, which we released in the June this year, has the capability for testing mobile applications. So I would recommend you to look for Rational Test Workbench to test the mobile applications.
Question from Snehal. Is RFT a free tool or do we have any trial version?
So Rational Functional Tester is available for trial versions also. I think it comes with a 1 month or 2 month trial, but you can go into IBM.com Rational, or maybe if you just search for Rational Functional Tester trial download in the Google, it will automatically take you to the IBM page, which provides you a link to download the Rational Functional Tester version.
Okay.
And in fact, my presentation also had important links. One of that link also actually takes you to that page.
Okay. Our next question is from Mohan Kumar. He's asking, can we sync up HPQC with this tool?
RFT actually doesn't integrates with Quality Center, but I think there are some companies who have created some tools through which you can drive Rational Functional Tester tests using Quality Center. I can only say that much. I don't have much knowledge about Quality Center.
Okay, we quickly take up 2 or 3 more questions. Next question is from Darshan Hegre. He is asking, how are the objects identified by RFT?
Okay, so as I mentioned, RFT uses the object's properties for identification of the objects. It uses, like for example, in Dojo, for Dojo objects, Dojo class is one of the very important property to identify. Similarly, in .NET, the name could be a very important property. And these all properties are defined in the object recognition properties dialog. Let's say if I have defined 5 properties to be used for identification of a particular GUI object, RFT matches these properties values at the time of playback to search an object. And so object recognition properties is one aspect of it. The other aspect is the hierarchy. That is, who is the parent and who is the child of the object. So it uses two things. One is the hierarchy and other is the recognition properties. There is a very good article which I published on my blog, which talks about, which explains this very simple concept with a real world example of moving from city A to city B. If you just do Google on RFT hidden treasures, you will be able to reach to that blog, and which explains the complete scenario.
Okay, a question we have from Jagdish. He's asking, in automation, do we need to separate business logics and objects from automation framework, or can it be coupled with framework? If it is coupled, how can we maintain it if there is a change in future?
So business objects, so it all depends on what approach you are taking, what is the length of your project cycle. If it is a very short, definitely you would not want to go for layering or modularization of your tests. Simple reason for that is your cycle is too short, and automation takes quite a good amount of effort when you are trying to break it up into different layers. So in that case, you probably can go for different approach, that is having some hard-coded stuff or to be very tightly coupled with a tool. But if your application is going to rest for a long time, and you see that during that period there could be a change in my test strategy related to the tools, then it's always advisable to follow the layered approach, so that when you are layering it down, you are basically decoupling your tests from the tool, so that you can later use another tool. I hope I answered your question.
Helen has one more question. What type of scripts are supported in RFT?
Hello?
Yes, Nitin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Helen has one more question. The question is, what type of scripts are supported in RFT?
So rational functional tester supports three types of scripts. One is Java scripting and VB.NET scripting. So these are two which are probably used by the tech-savvy tester, but we in the RFT 8.0 release, we also added simplified scripting, which is more like a natural language scripting. So RFT supports three types of scripting.
Okay, let us quickly take the last question for today. The question is from Sachin. He is asking, what kind of applications can we test through RFT?
Okay. So we saw in slide number 2 or 3 about what type of applications. Some of the applications were Java. And all types of Java when we talk about like your applets, your Sing application, Eclipse, SWT, etc. Similarly, we have support for Windows application, like you can test your MSC applications, Excel, etc. When you talk about web technologies, so we support testing of simple HTML applications, Dojo-based applications, Flex applications, Silverlight applications. PDF applications. When it comes to packaged applications, we support SAP and Siebel. Both applications are supported. If you are interested in .NET Word, .NET desktop-based applications, we support testing of all .NET 1.1 to .NET 4.5 applications. And more details you can find on the domain support page. Link of that is available in my slide.
Okay, with that we come to the end of our Q&A session. I do understand that we are running out of time today, and there are a lot of questions which still remain unanswered, but I can assure all the attendees that Nitin will be more than happy to take up the questions with each one of you offline. So you can either send the questions directly to us or email the question to Nitin. and take the queries offline. Nitin, if it's all right, you can also share your official email ID so that the attendees can share their questions with you.
Yeah, yes, sure. I would be happy to answer your questions. I know this session could have been much better, but unfortunately, as I said in the beginning. So, but definitely I'll share my email ID. So, shall I share it with you,
You can
and you will?
you can share the email ID right now if you are comfortable with it.
Yeah. So my email ID is sharma.nitin@in.ibm.com.
Thank you so
And please
much.
feel free to drop me a note. There might be some delay if I get flooded with a lot of emails. So, but I will ensure that I will respond to all the queries.
Thank you so much, Nitin, for sharing that. And once again, I would like to apologize for all the inconvenience caused during the session today. And we will try to put up the video or any kind of demo or any presentation which Nitin might want to share with us. And we would be happy to add that along with our recording tomorrow. And it will appear on techgig.com by tomorrow afternoon. So request you all to log in and keep an eye, keep a watch. Maybe by tomorrow 12 or 1 o'clock, uh, we should post today's recording on techgeek.com. So thank you so much, Nitin, and thank you everyone for your support and for your participation, without which it wouldn't have been this successful. Um, Thank you so much, Nitin, for taking time out of your busy schedule and giving this presentation. Look forward to working with you in near future. Thank you.
Thank you.